and welcome back to my channel. I'm on Poshmark Canada, Rainbow Poops, Poshmark USA, Rainbow Poops 1, Instagram, Rainbows After Midnight, and somewhere on eBay. So today is going to be something that I thought would be very helpful if you are a new reseller or if you've been reselling for a while. I mean, I'm not a professional. I don't know if anybody really is a professional reseller. I think we're all just kind of going through this, finding things and learning as we go. But I wanted to share my tips for sourcing. Sourcing is something that we all do if we are reselling. We need to figure out what we are going to sell, where we're going to get it, how much we're going to spend, what's the best stuff to get. I mean, there are so many things, so many questions that you could ask about sourcing. But I'm going to talk to you guys about my tips, what I do when I go in the thrift stores, and maybe you could use some of this when you go out. Maybe some of this information might not help you because it's different everywhere you are. We all have different thrift stores. Now, some of us do have similar ones in different cities. Some of us have better ones. Some of us don't. So there is a lot to consider. If you have the Goodwill bins, that's a whole other situation. We're not talking about that. I'm just talking about thrift stores and sourcing. So yes, you could do bins. You could get stuff from friends and family. You could source retail arbitrage going into your stores like TJ Maxx, or we have Winners over here. You could buy stuff on Poshmark or eBay, which I see people do, and then they resell that and mark that up as a profit. Facebook Marketplace, you could buy, your local buy and sell groups, your mom groups. Kijiji, if you're in Canada, we got Kijiji. I mean, Kijiji is like a buy and sell as well. There are just so many things. But yes, we're talking about thrift stores. So I'm going to give you guys just a rundown of some tips that I take with me, that I do when I'm in the thrift store. And maybe this will help. So first of all, we're going to go over the thrift stores that I go to. So again, I'm in Ontario, Canada. Thrift stores I do go to are pretty much every thrift store we have. The ones in my city I go to. I do go to the bins, but not often, so that's why I'm not including that in here. That's also a whole other thing. We are actually just looking for items. So we do have the chains. Over here I have a Value Village and Tilly's. And then we also have smaller ones. We have Mission Thrift, Goodwill, Salvation Army. In my city, there's a Resource store, which I think is in a few other locations. And then there's a few little other ones that are around that sometimes we go to. So, my first tip would be, this is just what I do. I like to shop more in the middle of the week, especially at one of my favorite locations. Why? Because I find the weekends are just so busy. I think a lot of it is overpicked. Now, this again doesn't apply to everything because I have found some good stuff on the weekends as well. This is just going on what I think works. For me, there is a Goodwill location I like to shop at, and they do the color of the week tags, which I think a lot of locations do, where they change out the color of the tags, and that starts on Monday. I usually try to go to the store in the middle of the week. Why? Because I've gone there on the Monday, and maybe they've put out like the smallest amount. There's barely any new color tags, and that's usually where you're going to find your best stuff. So I'll wait until like a Wednesday or Thursday, hit up those stores or that store or whatever store, and hopefully get more stuff that's been now put on the floor. Does the tip work? I don't know. Works for me. It works for me. Also going with that kind of location, I would recommend checking out the new sales floor racks if you are allowed. I know there's the odd locations I've been in. I've been not yelled at, but pretty much told like, hey, you can't touch those racks until the items are put on the floor. I was like, all right, okay. But if some of your locations allow that, there is one location that I go to and they're like, oh yeah, go ahead, look through all the rack. That's prime. That's the best place to source, is those brand new racks, because that stuff has not hit the floor. It has not been picked over. Going on stuff that's picked over, I've thought about this before, and I know I don't do it enough, but I should. It's the people that are trying on clothes. Now, if your store allows it, and we got some locations here that don't have change rooms anymore, the go backs, the stuff people tried on and didn't fit. Because a lot of times there's some good stuff in there. People are just like, oh, these jeans don't fit, and they put it on the rack. Check that out. Also, check out the showcases. A lot of stores do put their like higher end stuff in the showcases. I found some really, really good stuff in there, even though you might pay a little bit more. They do sometimes have some really good deals. So always check out that if you can. A lot of stores do have them, and I would advise checking that out. All right. What do we got? So we got the days to go, stuff like that. Another thing I would say that I do for sourcing is check all different sizes. Don't just look and like, oh, I'm only going to, medium or large. Check all the sizes. Because I have found some things that either the tag is wrong and they put like, oh, this is a medium. It's actually like an extra large. Or it's a kid's item and they put it in there thinking like, oh, this is a kid's shirt. And it's like, no, that's a woman's shirt. So I always check. I try. And people also put stuff back if, they're shopping and they're like, oh, I don't want this anymore. They'll just chuck it back in. They're not going to put it right in size medium. They might put that in a size small section or a size large section. So definitely, if you can, if you have enough time, check everything. Speaking of time, spend time. Spend time in the store. Usually, if I'm doing like a really, really good trip, I'll be in there for at least 2 hours. And that's me covering everything, and that's usually where I find the best stuff because I'm taking the time to look through the items and find the best of the best. So if you're just running in, yes, you can run in for 10 minutes and find some decent stuff, but you're also going to be leaving behind a ton of good stuff, just depending how many items you actually want. So that would be my other tip, is take time. Obviously, I've talked about this before. You want to research. Bring your phone, look up the brands, check them out. Check out the solds on Poshmark. Check out the solds on eBay. You kind of get an idea of the brand if you look it up and see what actually people are buying. And don't just look up solds. Look when people are buying them. Is this a brand that people are buying like crazy? So say we're going to pull up Lululemon, which everyone knows sells quite well. If you look at the last like 20 solds, I bet you most of them will be from either today, yesterday, or the day before. Meaning it's a fast-moving brand. And some people don't think about that. If you're buying something and you look at it and you're like, oh, this brand sold like 10 times, but they all sold like 2 years ago, that's probably not a good brand to be picking up because no one seems to be buying it. So I would keep that also in mind. And then probably my last tip is to check out the men's. Reason being, not just to check out the men's because you should be selling men's, is sometimes men's and women's clothes is confusing. And I found some men's items in the women's and some women's in the men's. My phone is just ringing, but that's what I would recommend. These are just the tips that I use. I hope you guys enjoyed this little sourcing video. I'm going to go into the Taco Bell and grab a taco. And I'm off to the dentist to get filling. So if you like this video, if you could thumbs up and subscribe. And I'll see you later. Bye.